Time now for the Insider's Quick Six. Gentlemen, question one. By when will the governor sign the education reform bill into law?
That bill will be on the governor's desk by the end of January.
Okay. Mike?
I would assume that there will be something by mid-February.
Question two. What would you like to see lawmakers do additionally to help our workforce shortage?
There's a whole range of issues that can go with that. I think the biggest thing is to simply continue to make Iowa an attractive place to start a business, grow a business, and move it into. Made great strides on the corporate income tax, but again, the implementation of the income tax and reducing that burden on Iowa businesses to attract new talent to new business and industry.
You knew taxes would be part of his answer. Right?
Yeah, I think, respectfully, I think Chris is wrong on that. I think clearly the biggest workforce issue is child care and child care assistance, and improving eligibility for that, program number one, and also making it easier for child care providers to serve their workforce needs.
Question three. I think we're somewhere $4 billion-ish in cash reserves, something like that. If lawmakers were to tap into some of that, what would you like to see them do with it?
To do with the reserves? Mm-hmm. Well, the governor's school choice bill would be a great spot. But I think the question of that one-time pot of money that's sitting in reserves, whatever we do should not be done to start a new ongoing obligation for the state. So there'd be a one-time expenditure or jump-starting more tax cuts. No, but I think that we need to be very careful that that is not done to increase the ongoing obligations of the state.
Okay.
I guess I was. Sorry, what should be done with the reserves?
Yeah, if you'd like, if you'd like to see them use a chunk of it.
Chris got at the main point about this. Is it's one-time money, so I think we need to be careful not to spend it on, not to assume it's always going to be there.
Okay. Question four. One area we have not talked about that you think lawmakers should also address this session before it's over.
Continuing to make sure that we control the growth in spending in state government. And I know that does get talked about, but it should be top of mind as we begin to implement a tax bill, is that we do have, the state's in great fiscal shape, but that doesn't mean that we can go and spend it all.
Okay.
I would say a variety of policies that restore a sense of dignity for our public employees and for people who are in need of assistance.
All right, question five. We're getting off politics here. Cardinals fan, Cubs fan. What do you think of Cubs fans?
I got too many friends that are Cubs fans to drop bombs on that, but it's a very good-natured rivalry. So.
Right.
I have always enjoyed the rivalry. I have lots of Cardinal fan friends, and I think that Wilson Contreras is going to do great in St. Louis. It's just that he's going to be sad when he's looking up at the Cubs in the standings.
Wow.
Shots fired. All right, we always end with a prediction. What do you have?
Well, I wanted to predict. We got that in question one about the timing of the governor. But I do want to make sure. I believe that bill that reaches the governor's desk will be largely intact. That the version of the bill that she has introduced will be, in large part, the substance of that which she signs into law here in the first few weeks of session.
Okay.
I predict that we're going to see a rejuvenation of people valuing public services and public employees, and looking for ways to use the tools of government to improve our state. I'm not hearing enough of that from the governor.